What's the single most important thing for a music producer? Is it the right gear? Is it a MacBook? Is it state-of-the-art acoustic panels? None of all, not at all. In my opinion, it's this one. Your mind. So this week's video is all about mindset, because I had several people reaching out to me asking for some help because they feel somehow stuck in the production game. So I thought, okay, let's make a little bit of a mindset video so you can jump into the new year with hopefully new energy, new motivation, and also let's reflect a little bit on the old year, on this year actually, year 2022. How was your producer year this year? It's a great time to reflect, I would say, and then we can jump into the new year, make adjustments to improve our production game, right? And if you just started out, I want to give you something for free, or if you just landed on this channel, I want to give you my soft but snappy Rominimal Ableton live kick template. This is basically a little template that I created basically in the first place for myself, because I found on some level the kick oftentimes doesn't fit so nicely into the track anymore as I add more and more stuff to a track, and maybe you found the same. So this little tool is great to adjust your kick according to the rest of the sound very easily with just a few clicks. So if you want that, grab it on the link below. It's for free, of course. Just click the link and then you get it shipped to your inbox. So now let's jump over to this week's video. I want to talk a little bit about the mindset, right? Because again, it's the single most important thing we can actually, or we should, focusing on, right? And what I found, based on my experience and also based on talking with a lot of other producers and beginners and advanced producers, I found there are a couple of mistakes producers do whenever they struggle, me including, right? So I want to tackle them. So I want to tackle 6 of the most common mistakes producers do who get stuck in the producer game. So if you feel stuck, think about those mindset hacks, whatever you want to call it, and maybe you find yourself getting some kind of stuck inside one of them, and that's a good thing, you know. Don't feel bad about it, because then you can actually improve. You know where your weak point is, right? My weak point is I should focusing more on goal setting again, right? So yeah, now let's jump in. Focus point mistake number 1 is a lot of producers, especially beginners, focusing their time and resources on the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? I repeat it because it sounds complicated. So lots of producers focusing their time and resources on the wrong thing at the wrong time. So what does this even mean? So for example, I give you an example from myself. So when I started out, I thought it's a good idea to buy an Electron rhythm. Then I bought another drum machine. Then I checked all the fancy gear out, right? And I bought it and I resold it. And then the machine was not synced to the DAW, so I needed to get a proper clock, whatever, right? I actually never found myself producing any tracks, not even finishing them, right? So that was a huge problem. So I was kind of procrastination. So that's what I mean by focusing your time and energy on the wrong thing at the wrong time. This is just an example, but what also a lot of producers do is, especially beginners, is that they think they need to know it all, right? So they might think they need to know all about scales, or you know, all about the synthesizing, all about sound design, all about different synthesis forms, whatever out there is, right? So the point is, we don't need to know everything, right? We just need to know enough to get us results. I mean, I don't know anything in Ableton, right? I just know shit that I can make and finish a track, and hopefully you like some of them. So another thing that counts into this, focusing the time and resource on the wrong thing at the wrong time, is that a lot of producers think, oh, okay, now I finished 5 tracks, now let's focusing on mixing, right? I want to make the perfect mix. No, in my opinion, the single most dial that brings you the most over time is finishing as many tracks as you can. Then you have the data, right? Then you can look into the last 50 tracks and then you can listen and think, okay, maybe I should improve the arrangement. Maybe I should improve the mixing, maybe even mastering, whatever it is, right? And first we need to create the data, right? Some reference material, so then we can actually look into it and then we can work on it. So we see the weak points, but on the foundation it's finishing tracks, track after track. And this leads me to the next point. Many producers, especially beginners, think wrong about creativity. So what does this mean? So many people think, okay, I sit down and some magic happens and I just sitting there, staring at the camera, staring at the DAW, waiting. Oh, now I have an idea. I have a melody in my mind. Now let's put that into the computer. Man, I have no idea. I can't do that. Maybe I can hum something, but it's as an inspiration trigger, as an inspirational trigger. But I like to think more in an interactive system, right? So we actually need to experiment, and if you're lucky, we get some random ideas. So creativity is a lot of happy accidents, and that's okay, right? And I mentioned this in an older video, I think 1 or 2 years ago, and I don't remember what book it was. I think it was some book from Austin Kleon, and he talks about that the ancient Greeks talked about artists, that they must have a genius in the wall, right? So the genius will come out and put some ideas in their head, right? But their job was, the artist's job was to just sit there and experiment, right? And now and then the genius would come out of the fucking wall and showing you, here, I have an idea for you. I know this sounds stupid, and then work with that, right? Sometimes the genius is not showing up, sometimes it just shows up in one track the next day again, and then maybe for a week not, right? That's the nature of creativity. And that's how I like to think, because that takes a lot of pressure away from you. You don't have to make every track release worthy, right? Not every track is meant to be to play out. And here's another thing that I think a lot of people get wrong. In the first place, I think we need to produce music for ourselves, right? And we are the worst judge ourselves, right? To judge our music. Who is judging us is actually the listener, right? He can tell, okay, I like this, I don't like this, and so on, right? You do that with those videos, with my YouTube videos. I just put them out. Some are poorly performing, probably this one, because lots of people don't like mindset stuff regarding music, but you made it to this video, you are still listening, so you are actually the exception, I would say, and you are in a good place. Congratulations, by the way. So yeah, then the next mistake I found is, for me, but also for lots of beginners, is that they don't implement a writing habit. So sitting down every day and just sticking to a minimum of a certain time writing. And I say writing, not checking YouTube videos, listening to the same loop over and over again. When I talk about writing, I mean writing, moving a track further down towards the finishing line, right? And lots of people don't have a writing habit, right? They just sit down and then they procrastinate. I do that, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's a big mistake, I would say. Always better to do something than nothing, right? Even if it's 5 minutes. If you say, okay, I want to start the track, let's do 5 minutes. That's an easy way, right, to get in, and you will most likely find yourself sitting in there for 30 minutes or even longer, right? But you need to overcome that fear of starting, right? So that's the third mistake I see lots of people do, me including, right? I'm not just talking about other people, I count myself to those as well, right? And number four mistake that the struggling producers do is not setting clear goals. So clear goals, I would say, is sitting down every day and stick to 30 minutes a minimum writing music, right? That could be a specific goal, or finishing one track a week on average, right? And if you don't reach that goal, it's absolutely okay, because a goal should be there to move you into the right direction, I would say. I found a lot of people miss that, right? Miss the opportunity, because especially for me, I need a little bit of a pressure, and for me, the goal thing works great. The next mistake a lot of producers do who struggle to, or stuck, or feeling uninspired, is that they procrastinate. What does this mean? They procrastinate. There are different forms of procrastination. So basically, procrastination means you know you should do a task, but you move it always further down until you can't do anything else but just do it, right? So that's actually what happened for this video. It's a Thursday evening. What's the time? Almost 11, and I should go to bed basically, but I have to do it now because tomorrow I have to go to work. The video needs to be shipped. Anyway, procrastination, big part, I would say, because there are different parts of procrastination. So for example, watching this video is to some degree, if you're honest, it's procrastination, because you know you should finish tracks, but watch my videos anyway. Just set aside some time, right? So checking out gear is procrastination. Sometimes learning is even procrastination, because it lets us feel better. Or watching YouTube tutorials, sometimes it's inspiration as well, but it's twofold, right? I hope you get the idea what I want to explain with that procrastination and learning thing. There's a time and space for everything, but again, I come back to the first point, which is focusing at the wrong time on the wrong thing, right? And number five mistake is not dividing the tasks. So for example, writing time, I like to think about two different time slots. So for example, having a writing time where you actually move the track further down the finishing line, and preparation time, right? There's a time where you set up new plugins, where you watch tutorials, where you learn, and so on, right? I found this especially helpful for the beginning part of getting into finishing tracks, because I found it's very fundamental important sticking to the writing routine and having a strict writing habit. And later on, if you have finished hundreds plus tracks, you can get a little bit more chill, because you have established a certain routine or a certain workflow and so on, right? So yeah, those are the 5 mistakes I found struggling producers do. And yeah, maybe you found more, maybe you don't agree with me on this, but this is based on my personal experience, and by talking with people, by my personal experience. And yeah, I want to leave you with a little bit of question. Yeah, so how was your production here? Was it good? What do you need to implement based on those mistakes? Do you find yourself in one of those 5 mistakes? Is it maybe procrastination? Maybe is it not having a clear goal? Maybe is it not having implemented a strict writing routine? Is it maybe, what is it? Sticking or focusing on finishing as many tracks as you want. And if you finished 100, maybe then it's time to focusing on a new skill set, like mixing or mastering or whatever it is, or implementing new tools, right? Rather than checking out Sweetwater, Thomann, whatever, and searching for new gear. I'm guilty about that as well. Plugins, I always search for new plugins. You know my channel, right? But anyway, what can you do for the next year? Where do you need to improve? Arrangement, mixing, again, goal setting. What do you want to improve for 2023? If you like, if you're brave, write it in the comment section what your weak point is based on this video. And yeah, maybe you find some mistakes that you find yourself in, and yeah, it's a good point. Don't feel bad, because now you know exactly where you can improve. Personally, I think I can improve in a lot of ways. So yeah, let's wrap this year slowly up. And thanks for watching, thanks for your time, and thanks for so many comments, likes, whatever. Thanks for being here the whole year. And if you're new to this channel, thanks for tuning in. I'm pumped for the new year. The new videos will also come in 2023. So yeah, I'm really pumped. So yeah, that's it. Thanks. Happy producing. Cheers.